Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm turning on my Southern charm today because I want to talk about three reasons why you can't stop thinking about this guy. Can't get him out of your head. I know. Having a crush on a guy isn't easy. Having a crush on a girl isn't easy. Take it from me. You wake up in the morning and there they are sitting in your brain. First thing, you think about that person on the way to work or on the way to school. You think about them every time you see something that even remotely reminds you of them. The infatuation is a 24/7 job sometimes. And it doesn't even matter if you're together or not. In fact, it'd be obviously fantastic if you were, but being apart is absolutely driving you crazy in a deliciously falling in love sort of way. So you start asking yourself, why can't you stop thinking about him? And what's it going to take to get your life back under control, or at least your brain? Well, your first step should be to ask yourself what it is that you find so attractive about this guy. Why is he on your thoughts so much? Is it a chemistry thing, or is it something else? Have you known him forever? Has he been your good buddy for a long time? The best thing you can do is just to whip out that pencil and your journal and work out what it is you find so irresistible about him. The next thing to do is look at yourself and how you view your status next to this guy. If you think for a moment that he's better than you or you don't measure up in some way, guess again. And you got to drop that kind of thinking. It's going to make you obsessed over him. You got to keep things in perspective when it comes to your situation. You probably feel inferior in some ways and maybe even intimidated, but don't. As that saying goes, no matter how gorgeous and fantastic this guy is, somebody somewhere is tired of his crap. Keep it in perspective. All right, let's dig right into those three reasons you can't stop thinking about him. He's on your mind and in your thoughts. Reason number one, your brain has been reprogrammed. Yep, there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. Yeah, I know it's pretty heavy, but you can call it RAS for short. It's a small bundle of nerves at the base of your brain that's basically the traffic cop for all of your thinking. You ever buy a car and then suddenly you see that car everywhere you go? Or maybe it's shoes or a purse instead of that car, but the effect is still the same. What happened? Well, your brain got reprogrammed. You basically told your RAS what it was that's your current focus, and now your RAS is out there looking and finding it everywhere in your environment. Your RAS is also connected to a phenomenon that's called the Baader-Meinhof Syndrome. Yeah, I know, I'm coming up with all these great terms today. Actually, that's a pretty cool name, but let's call it the frequency illusion. Baader-Meinhof is the phenomenon where a person happens upon some obscure piece of information. It's often an unfamiliar word or a name, whatever it is. And soon after that, they encounter the same subject again and again, often repeatedly. Like you hear about a book and you see everybody reading that book. It might even seem like coincidence or even some kind of cosmic signal. But you know what? It's not. It's just your brain bending your reality. Again. It happens a lot more than we think. Your emotions actually change and distort your thinking, and you have to be on the lookout. And that's one of the big reasons that a guy will stick in your thoughts like a catchy song back in the 1980s. So watch out that you don't fall for that trickery of the mind. So why can't you stop thinking about him? Reason number two, your hormones are on fire. Well, not literally or anything, but your brain is dumping chemical after chemical into your system, and it's making you much more suggestible and kind of on edge. Here's a short list of the love chemicals at work in your brain. You got yourself your adrenaline, you got yourself your dopamine, you got yourself your serotonin, you got yourself your oxytocin and your vasopressin. You have a literal cocktail of hormones that are raging through your brain when you get infatuated like this, and it creates a whole new reality where you just can't stop thinking about that person. Why can't you get them out of your head? Reason number three, suppression actually makes it worse. So by now you're probably wondering how you kind of got this obsessed with this guy, right? Well, for you to understand how it works, let's do a quick experiment. For the next 5 seconds, that's all I'm asking, close your eyes and do not think about a purple unicorn. Don't think about it. No, I mean it, I'm serious. And don't let that image into your head. Okay, now if you're like most people, you couldn't help yourself. You saw that purple unicorn the second I said purple unicorn. Well, what happened there? Trying to suppress a thought just makes things worse. You can't. Telling yourself to stop thinking about him is only going to reinforce the fact that you keep thinking about him. It's enough to drive you crazy, isn't it? Darned if you do and darned if you don't. Trying to suppress these thoughts can even lead to that person appearing in your dreams, and it's called the rebound effect. The key to overcoming this, if that's something you actually want to do, is to redirect your thinking, steer it in another direction. Don't try to stop it. Instead of indulging and ruminating about him endlessly, you need to steer your thoughts towards something else, something less glowing and romantic. I don't know, like peanut butter. Yeah, that sounds good. Look, one of the best things you can do is to focus on the natural emotional evolution that you usually go through with your relationships. Infatuation always leads to what? Well, eventually love, we hope. And then what? Well, a warm, comfortable place in the relationship, settled in love, usually. And then what? Reality. That's right, reality sets in, and you realize that no matter what you thought was going on, or what you thought about him going in, there's a relationship that you actually need to work on here. And his flaws will come out eventually, which is both a bit of a buzzkill and kind of a blessed relief. I mean, you can't possibly lead your life in this constant state of bzzz. So stay grounded and stay real. Don't go thinking into the future either. No indulging in fantasies of marriage or happily ever after. Stay out of that zone for your own good. It's far better to stay grounded in reality. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what to do next to get this ball rolling. Step number one is first figure out where you're feeling this emptiness in your life right now. Because this is where you're feeling a little bit unfulfilled, and it's also very likely why you've got a crush on this guy. You're trying to fill up this emptiness in your life. It's just a hole in your heart, and you can figure that out. If it's something else, then figure out what it is you're missing. And step number two is be careful that you don't start overvaluing a guy too soon. He's just a guy. Trust me. Yes, I know. And if you start chasing him in your mind before you've even gotten a date, you'll be in the worst position to get him to fall for you. You got to make sure you keep an eye out for red flags and other kinds of behavioral signs that suggest he might not be the best match for you. This is the opportunity you have right now at the start, and you don't have later on. So you have your vision clouded by all these little love chemicals. And step number three is just get your butt out there and meet some other guys. Look, the last thing you want to do is leave yourself completely vulnerable to this one guy. I know, it's tempting. I think probably 95% of the women I've talked to don't feel like they could date another guy while they've got a crush on one guy. And you got to do it though. You got to basically load balance your emotions a little bit. It's kind of like an insurance policy. If this guy doesn't work out, or if you figure out it's really not for you, you got to be able to break free of it. And you got to have perspective along the way. Make sure you've got your own social and romantic calendar balanced out with other possibilities. There are many reasons that I can tell you more about. You can go into those when you go into my connection code program. Look, you got to get out from under this spell he's got you into eventually. So it's either give up on him, which I think you shouldn't do unless you really think he's bad news, or you can move in on him if he's unaware that you're really interested in him. That's an option. Or just get on his radar really soon. Look, you can take control of your relationship and where it's going, no matter how crazy and out of control you feel about things right now. You want to know what will create an unbreakable connection to the man you want? Go on over and take a look at this short video presentation I've got. You can create a connection with a man if you know what he's looking for. Go on over to datingadviceguru.com/connection code. Click the link right below this video and go check it out. And of course, always subscribe and like this video. Leave your comments below too, because I love to get your questions. It helps me figure out what I'm going to do the next video on, and of course, to do the Q&A on the site. So go on over to datingadviceguru.com. Watch some more of these videos. Hey, spend a little time. I made them just for you. This is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com/connection code, and I'll be talking to you next time. As always, live and love with passion.